Hello. So today I have the pleasure of hosting Nikita. So Nikita is a young chartered accountant who did her articleship from PwC and then worked with the likes of ICRA and IndusInd in credits and relationship roles, and then took this major career plan of taking this ISB 1 year thing. So last week we had an interview with Geenal. So Geenal was typically the 10 plus kind of a work-ex category in ISB. The typical work-ex for the entire batch is 4.1 years for ISB. That is typically the kind of experience Nikita would be having, somewhere around that. And she's from the Hyderabad campus, while Geenal was from the Mohali campus. So this is another perspective that will help you to take a decision on MBA from an ISB of sorts if you are into that 4 to 5 year kind of a range. So Nikita, what was the trigger of your MBA decision? You were doing quite well as a chartered accountant in banking from credit. You were getting into relationship at IndusInd, and you would have grown along that steady path. So what was the trigger for your MBA decision? So was it a quest for a richer role? You wanted something more than just credit, or was it like a higher paying? You wanted to scale up in terms of the paycheck that you would be drawing at the end of the month? What were the thought processes at play?
So, hi Anurag, thank you so much for calling me or interviewing me on this show. And so there were a couple of reasons why I actually took this. First of all, I wanted to build a long-term profile for myself. So, CA plus MBA is a kind of an ideal qualification. And given today's competitive world, I feel, this is a must. So a long-term profile, which gives you credibility, opens up a lot of options. I did not have any specific role in mind. I was happy in corporate banking, but I just wanted. I thought that it will help me grow faster, even if I would be in the same role. So that's what I had in mind.
And your GMAT score would have been in the 700-ish kind of a range, plus minus something. So how did you go about preparing for GMAT?
So my score was not, it was a little less than 700 actually. Not a very impressive score, but I did put in a lot of work for that. So I think I studied for about 2-3 months before that. And yeah, so there was a lot of online material which I gathered. I got official GMAT book, which I followed religiously. I used to kind of get up early in the morning every day, 5 o'clock or something, then again, when I came back from office, some hours, and yeah, so 2-3 months of preparation, and a lot in the weekends. I stopped going out and all, but yeah, so 2-3 months of preparation, and yeah, that was.
So that worked the wonders for you. And then did you ever evaluate MBA abroad as an option? Because you've got a good background, Xavier's, MB Girls, CA. So then did you ever opt off MBA abroad, and then why did you finally zero in on India?
Right. So I really wanted to do an MBA abroad. I kind of fancied it, but US was mostly 2-year courses, which was very difficult for me to afford. Secondly, UK, it was expensive, but it was 1 year more practical. But then because of the visa issues, there was a lot of risk. I spoke to a lot of people, and most of them kind of commented that it's a very big risk. A lot of people have to come back after spending a lot of money, which is why I had to rule that out. I was inclined towards NUS, Singapore. But then actually it so happened that I got an admission with ISB first, and so then I didn't apply to NUS later. So I just, but I thought that NUS would be a good option for me.
And what about, China Economic Business International, so CBIS, and then IIM Ahmedabad and Bangalore, the 1 year version? Why didn't you offer that? And the 2 year version from India through the CAT route? I mean,
yeah, so 2 years, I did not want, sorry, go ahead.
Yeah, so that's the bit.
Okay, so I didn't want a 2-year course because I thought, you do get a lot of technical knowledge, after studying CA. MBA was more of an all-round development or an all-round perspective of other areas apart from, accounts, tax that we study CA. So I thought 1 year MBA would be good enough for me. So I didn't want the 2-year courses because most of them would be fresh graduates. I mean, the crowd would also be mostly, younger people. I wanted more of an experienced batch. And apart from that, Indian schools, I think ISB was my only was the only school in my consideration set. I did consider China, but I don't know. I was a little apprehensive because of the language, the food. I thought it would be difficult for me to. The overall experience would not be that much of a fun actually. So yeah.
So then, why ISB is that we've considered that in India that was your option. We would have heard a lot of things about ISB, the pros and cons. So then, what were the things that you finally zeroed in on ISB, went about applying, and how was that application process?
So I think ISB would, I mean, as an Indian professional with already 4.5 years of experience that in corporate banking, I think ISB would give me the required credibility that I wanted to grow in my career. So it would fill that gap. And it was a 1-year course. And I had spoken to a lot of alums, their own experience, which was quite good. So it was because of that I took the decision, and I'm very happy with it because I feel I got what I wanted in terms of experience, the kind of diversity you have here. So people say that, ultimately it's 66% of the class is engineers, but even those engineers come from different work experiences, different backgrounds. There are people from Navy, there are people from the, people who have done fashion and loads of other kind of people. And I think I think they have the right kind of diversity that you can have in India. Yeah, there are a few international students also. Then people come in from international exchange for international exchange
Okay,
also.
so you
So
can do
all in all, I think,
with a lot of people. So how was your
yeah.
ISB interview experience? So they kind of quiz you on the work experience. Is it a lot about the essays and the SOPs? Do they also talk about current affairs, etc.? And then those cliched why MBA, why ISB, these kind of questions?
So I think MBA MBA interview in any school, at least most of the international schools and people who are with a lot of with work experience, their idea is to find out how ISB would fit into their career and what I could add to the ISB community. These are the two important questions, and they will deep dive into the kind of work ex that I've had, and they'll basically try to judge whether whatever I have written in my essays are all that's all factual or not. So it'll be about work ex, why you want to do an MBA, and what you can add to the MBA community.
Typical answer, like as a chartered accountant, you will say that you're good in number crunching or that kind of a thing.
See, it actually depends on who the individual is, what kind of experiences they've had. So for me, why I wanted an MBA was because it would give me a good credibility, like I mentioned. It would add to my skill set in terms of CA, and CA gives a very microscopic view, if I may say, whereas MBA gives a macroscopic view. So I think together it complements. An MBA education supplements you as a professional. So yeah, this is, I think this is what I had in mind before I went to an interview, and this is how I prepared.
And did people at home raise eyebrows? 35 lakhs, Nikita, and 1 year you will not earn. So do you really think it's worth it? These kind of questions would have surely come typical Marwadi family.
No, in fact, it was the other way around. My parents. It was actually because of them that I could keep my motivation levels high during those 3-4 months, because it was my father and my mother and my sister. All three of them had different roles to play, and they really motivated me to kind of study, get back to the books, and apply. If it wasn't for them, then I would not have been here today.
Wow, amazing, good. So, and then how is it like rebooting life as a student? Means packing up that bag, walking into the classroom, having exams, grades, that kind of a rat race. I mean, it's also kind of getting into a rat race for a CGPA at the end, which is going to influence the placements. How is that experience? Especially because you've quit
Of course,
some time.
It's definitely a race, but I think it has its pros. And it was not very difficult to get back into the student mode. But yes, the first 7 months till the placements, it's literally a roller coaster ride, and you will understand that only once you come in. But I think it's all worth it. It's all something that adds to your personality, and it'll help you grow as a person and as a professional.
So which subject did you enjoy the most here?
So actually, I enjoyed most of the subjects. The most important takeaway here is, so earlier, till I had come in here, I thought finance or accounts, or that was the most important department in any corporate.
Yeah.
But after coming here, I realized how important marketing is, and how important operations is, and what kind of value they can add. So it definitely opened up my mind. And another important thing is that they do case-based discussions, which also I think is a very good way to teach people, rather than the way we did it in CA or generally in BCom and any other course that I did before this.
So what are your top 3 takeaways from campus? Because a lot of people say it's the peer network, it's the brand connect, the alums, etc. So what exactly have been your 3 tangible takeaways in return for the 1 year that you spent here?
I think it's a little bit of everything. First of all, it's the entire experience of this 1 year. I would have never, because I was a CA student, I did not enjoy a college life. I did not experience a college life, which is very important. That is the most important thing. Of course, there's the alum connect, the network connect, which is an asset for life. And of course, in terms of like I just mentioned, it opened up my perspective, a different way of thinking. I mean, now I give importance. I have I think it's opened up my mind in terms of the importance of every department in an organization, and I can understand them better. I think I can communicate with them better if I have to.
So for example, give me a tangible illustration for this change in thought process, like what exactly the case and all. Something like earlier you would be thinking like this and now you think like this.
Like, okay, so I'll give you a small example. So like, for example, LBO. Okay.
Yeah.
Generally, we know LBO just by definition. If we would have studied it in CA, it would have been just a definition. But here, when we studied it, we did it in a case. We took a real life case, and they actually kind of explained in the case what happened with an LBO, and what happened, how it impacted the different stakeholders of the organization and the people who did it. So now I don't think I will ever forget that. So I think various other things we've studied in this way, which is very important.
Yeah, so the case pedagogy actually matters a lot, and I can vouch for that because at IIM Ahmedabad's PGPX also the same method was followed. So there you have to think holistically, because you will have in those meetings a marketing guy saying something and the ops guy countering with some other argument. And you also, I think, would have had these syndicates, like 6-7 people in a group who would have to work overnight on the cases and then present the next day. So a lot of arguments happen there, heated discussions.
Yeah. So that is another place where you learn to respect different perspectives. So there is one engineer, there is one chartered accountant. Engineers also from different. One is design, one is electronics engineer. So we were all from my group. We were all from different backgrounds. So there was a lot of good discussion that happened, and that's what it opens up your mind and helps you to respect others' opinion better. Definitely.
Yeah, because hitherto you would have always interacted with BCom students and CA students, so all of them mostly think along the same line.
Yeah.
So how is like interacting with the professors? I remember, I think some of your professors now is in the government in a major way, and you had posted some picture with that professor, right?
Yeah, so that was a Professor Krishnamurthy Subramaniam. He's now the Chief Economic Advisor. And in fact, the overall, all the professors here, I think I can safely say that it is at par with global schools, maybe even better. And most of the professors come from universities from across the globe, UK, US, and everywhere. And
which universities, like Wharton professors come here? Kellogg, Wharton?
Yeah. There have been professors from Wharton, Harvard, INSEAD, Carolina, and all the good schools that you can think of. And the quality of professors here is amazing. And I'm sure, you can. You'll know it, once you just come in, interact with people. It's a very good faculty, and they are all involved in a lot of research and with a lot of industry people, and so this gives us a more practical perspective in class. The discussions in class is very rich because of that.
All right, but then there is one concern that a lot of professors at ISB are visiting professors, visiting faculties, are not on residence. So, you will not have much time to interact with them after class because they are there with a packed schedule before they move on. Is it like that?
So all the professors, that I don't think it makes any difference whether they are visiting or they are permanent faculty. Because we are constantly in touch with them, and anyway, even up, so they are there for the entire term. When when the students are actually studying that subject, then they are available, and even if they go back, they are so open. We can mail them anytime, and a lot of students are in touch with most of the professors, and they're really helpful. And yeah, so the connect is made for life, so they're always available.
Apart from studies, what exactly other things were you do? To which clubs, or did you do some research projects under some profs? Do you all have exchange programs?
Yeah, so there are all these things. So depending upon what a particular student likes, he or she can prioritize a few things and can do, whether it is sports, whether it is getting involved in a research project, cultural events, and a host of other things, as international exchange
Did you
also.
join?
Finance club. I was a part of the core committee of the finance club.
Oh, cool. And placement season sends jitters. I think that's one place where the rubber hits the road. I mean, if you go up there, no matter how much good is the learning, you'll go back with a bitter taste in the mouth. So, how was your experience? What are the roles that come for a chartered accountant? And
yeah. So, firstly, I'd just like to mention that even if even if you don't land up with a very good role or the ideal role that you wanted in campus, once you are a part of ISB community, then that you have an asset for life in terms of the connect with the professors, the community, and everything. And you can you have opportunities for lifelong. So that's there. But of course, having said that, placement season is something that everybody is scared of, given our culture, our the peer pressure and everything. But I think for me, the most memorable experience was definitely the placement process. I was very nervous about it, but then it went well for me, and yeah.
So where are you joining now?
So I'm joining HDFC Bank.
Function?
Private banking.
That would be based out of what? Bombay, Bangalore?
Yeah, Mumbai.
Mumbai. All right. So you'll be now dealing with the HNIs of the world and asking them to write checks for HDFC. All right. And this large batch size, so I'll tell you what happened when I had done my MBA from IIM Ahmedabad, the batch size was 85. Now they've increased it to around 135, 40, but then still ISB is 900 spread across Hyderabad and Mohali. So this large batch size, so I'll tell you what I have in mind. One, it does not let you have some sort of a snob effect that, oh, I managed to get into ISB because it's a 900 odd thing. They are also under pressure to fill the seats. The advantage is that you've got far more diversity in terms of the cohort, but the disadvantage will also be in terms of the rat race for academic grades, etc., and the placement. So overall, how does it stack up, this large 900 size batch?
I feel there are more advantages than disadvantages, because see, if you're good, then ultimately today or tomorrow you will definitely land up a good role and whatever you want. So of course the competition is there during placements, uh, uh, which is what makes, because of the competitive nature and a lot of students, people feel more pressured. But there are other things also which we don't realize. The thing is, because there is such a large student community with varied experiences, a variety of roles also come in, a variety of companies also come in.
That is what
Yeah, so which is, I think, which is a good thing, and it helps differentiate ISB from the other good premier Indian B schools. And of course it also helps bring in diversity in terms of our own experiences, the class discussions, like I said, our group discussions. So I think all in all it's an asset.
So in a single class, how many students do you all have?
75.
So there are 12 sections overall,
Yeah.
the entire batch. Okay.
Yeah.
So that's good. And so then what would be your final thoughts in terms of, okay, yeah, another question. So like you landed into private wealth. So what are the other kind of options that emerge for, let's say, chartered accountants or commerce graduates with or without work ex, and how important is the role of your past work ex? So for example, if you've done something in banking, so is it that the prospective employer is predisposed towards seeing you as a banking candidate? And let's say if you want to get into McKinsey, Bain, BCG and MBB, how does that help, etc.? Do roles like corporate finance roles come, or is it more sales oriented? So overall, in terms of what is one expect?
Okay. So yeah, of course, I mean, ISB is a consulting school mostly. There are more of marketing and consulting roles that come in. But having said that, I think there are lots of opportunities for CA also. You can go into consulting, like even the McKinsey's, BCG's especially, they do prefer people from commerce background, especially if you're CA and if you have a banking experience, if you've done well here, then you can easily land up opportunities with the MBBs. Then there are corporate strategy roles that come in. So mostly consulting and strategy would be something that those are the good roles, and people with commerce background are maybe preferred there. Then of course there are corporate banking roles, there are business finance roles, there are these startups which have various roles, and it's kind of background agnostic because they have a host of roles, and they can kind of accommodate people from all backgrounds. So
So
yeah.
this 1 year
And
stint, this can help
sorry,
you
yeah.
actually change courses. So means in terms of you've been in banking, let's say, and you wanted to get into something else in marketing or in strategy. So will the past experience act as a hindrance or facilitate that transition?
It depends on what you want. Sometimes it's so suppose if I've been in a bank, and if I go to maybe apply to McKinsey or BCG, and they have a lot of banking clients, then my experience would be considered.
Okay.
It would facilitate that experience. But changing to marketing may be difficult, but it's not impossible.
Okay. Okay. Cool. And so what you now nearing convocation? Your convocation would be in a month from now.
Yeah. That's
So
right.
then on
April.
to your new role. So what would be your advice to future aspirants on this YouTube channel? So as you're aware, on this YouTube channel, we've got 30,000 plus subscribers, and we collate a lot of information on the CA, MBA, anything that relates to a career related to commerce students. So what would be your advice to
So
students
I think
at ISB?
So firstly, I think if you want to go for an MBA, from my experience, I've learned, do it only if you really want it. And you should, before getting onto this, you should know what price you have to pay and what is it that you want from it.
5 lakhs.
Okay, you should. That's not it. You have to, there's this. You have to spend this entire 1 year. You may have to forego a promotion. You may have to forego a
Yeah,
raise. You should be clear with the things that you are giving up versus the things that you're getting.
correct.
So that kinds of helps you not it helps you take things in a positive stride, because it's a real roller coaster ride. So on the way, these things, if you're not convinced with your decision, then it may spoil your experience. But having said that, if you know that this is something good for you, then just a GMAT, not studying for the GMAT, or indiscipline should not stop you from doing it. It just requires. So how I motivated myself was just maybe 1 or 2 months of letting go of the outings with friends, and a lot of various other things can actually change my life, and it did. So it's just 2 months of your life. If you give, you can change your life. So yeah, you should be aware of these two things.
All right, great thoughts. I mean, having the plunge into the MBA without cognizance to what is the kind of cost that I will be incurring in terms of it's because it's not just the paycheck or the 35 lakhs. It's about the entire, for example, some people are not able to cope up with the stress of the academic life, means getting into the academic groove, the grades. It feels that, so in my time also, there were people, 50 people used to report to them after 7-8 years of work in IT. Now they are here with a backpack writing exams and getting a fail F. So then initially it kind of jolts you that what exactly
Of
have I.
course.
So you
Hmm.
really be aware of. Good. So I'll put your LinkedIn connect in the description below, and and people who would want to connect with you can certainly do that. So thank you so much for sparing your time out of your academic thing. So I only recently gathered that you're still in the midst of a hectic class schedule, but you spared this time for this channel. Thank you so much,
Thank
and
you.
glad that you could make it here. Thank you. Bye bye.
Thank you. Bye bye.